out onto the street to show that they really are discontent if they're going to have any influence over that vote. Well, I'm joined now by Yannis Paleologos, who is the editor of the Free Sunday newspaper here in Athens. Thanks for being with us on BBC World. How significant is this particular protest that we're seeing at the moment?
Well, I think it keeps piling the pressure onto the MPs of the ruling party. The pressure was already significant. There are voices both on the left and the right pushing for a rejection of the memorandum of the IMF, of the EU. And we're going to find out tomorrow how they've been able to resist this pressure. And
what do you think will happen?
I think the vote is going to squeak through, possibly not with all 155 members of parliament of PASOK, but it's probably going to get through. The more difficult question is what's going to happen after, whether they're going to be able to implement these new measures.
Yes, what do you mean by that? Why wouldn't they be able to?
Well, there's a number of further steep tax rises hitting the middle class where it hurts, home ownership and things like that, and even directly their income. And they've already had to suffer a lot from the memorandum last year. They see that the government is not willing to really take the knife to public sector spending, and that they're forced to pay again for the attempt to raise government revenue. So they're not seeing any light at the end of the tunnel, and they're ready to resist to the end, I think.
Even if that means that Greece has to leave the euro, there is an untimely default and all the rest that follows from that?
Unfortunately, the mood seems to be that. I mean, people are seeing very directly the pain that that's being inflicted on them, and they don't see perhaps the consequences of a disorderly default within the next few weeks.
Yes. Just how bad do you assess it would be if there was a disorderly default?
I think it would be absolutely catastrophic. I mean, Greece has been trying to Europeanize itself for the last 30 years with stops and starts, with steps forward and steps backward. I think to leave the euro and possibly even leave the EU would be a complete disaster. It would probably halve Greek incomes basically overnight. We wouldn't be able to import basic necessities. It would be an absolute horror. So I think MPs should keep their minds focused on that and vote for these measures, even though they're unfair.
Okay, so yeah, vote for something even though it's unfair, because the alternative is worse. That seems to be what you're saying.
It's basically a choice between a bad situation and a complete disaster.
Right. And just how badly is Greece suffering at the moment? Because you drive around Greece, you see nice cars, you see restaurants that have got people in them, and there is an air of normality.
I think it is a brittle normality at best. The unemployment rate has gone up almost 100% in the last few years. There is hundreds of small shops and businesses have shut down, and the recession is projected to be much steeper this year than it was originally thought. So there is a lot of actual pain, and the problem is people don't see their sacrifices leading to a better tomorrow. And I think the government, after passing these measures, will have to look very seriously at really changing the public sector.
Okay, Yannis, thank you very much indeed for being with us. We're here in Syntagma Square, the Parliament building there behind us. The protests go on and they're going to intensify, and the numbers taking part will be growing during the day in their thousands. But from here in Athens, it's back to you in the studio.
John, thank you very much indeed. John Sopel, right there in the thick of things. Just want to give you a shot also of what it's like elsewhere, because if you go to the airport at the moment, well, in fact, that's Syntagma Square, of course, but if you do have a look at the airport, you will find there is absolutely nothing going on there. It's a big public transport strike, and that is the result, inevitably. We will see if it says cancelled in terms of support for the euro later. Well, coming up in just a moment, it'll be Hard Talk. Hope you stay with us as Stephen Saka speaks to the Buddhist activist and writer Sulak Sivaraksa. That is after a summary of the news from me and a quick look at the international weather.